So we're going to talk about Black Friday, some viable alternatives, and also how to launch an effective Christmas campaign. So as I say, there are some elements, you might be doing some of these elements or all of these elements, but we're going to look at kind of that whole package. And yeah, no, of course, that's absolutely fine. Makes absolute sense. So yeah, so we're going to be looking at this whole package because, as I say, there are some elements that you might take from it, and some that might just kind of get us thinking about what we can develop. So my name is Dan Jenkins. I'm a strategic marketing manager here at WAGADA. I look after a number of our sort of key client accounts, but I also work externally with businesses across kind of the UK and also abroad. I'm based here in Evesham, and I'm speaking to you currently from our office in Cheltenham. And it's not just about me though, because we have a growing team now of around 15 team members, marketers, who cover various specialisms. So from kind of PPC to paid social media to organic social media. And we are also HubSpot partners, so we work with a number of B2B brands where we integrate kind of sales with marketing as well. So for those who are familiar with HubSpot, it's quite an in-depth kind of customer relationship management sort of system. It's a CRM, but where you can segment and group email lists and ensure that you're giving the right kind of marketing message to the right people at the right time. Sorry, I'm just going to change something here on this recording because I've got a feeling it's, for some reason, it's not focusing on me as the speaker. Joe, sorry, do you mind just unmuting and muting again? Sorry, apologies. It seems to be, not sure why it's doing this. Bear with me. I'm just going to admit somebody else as well. Thanks, Joe. Just admitting another joiner. Apologies, bear with me. Hi, Sheena. Welcome. We're just underway, but if you wouldn't mind just popping any details in the chat, feel free to kind of let us know where you are, or any details if you want people to kind of be able to link up with you on LinkedIn. And yeah, if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to pop them in the chat. Fab. So Black Friday. Now, kind of, what's all the fuss about? Because this is very much front and center, and it's something that's really prevalent now, but kind of has it always been that way? Now, why Black Friday? Well, it was coined in retail since the 70s and the 80s. So it's actually been a phrase that's been around for quite a long time now. But I think, when I was growing up, and I'm sure people in this room were growing up, it's not been that sort of front of center, marketing and sales day as it's kind of engaged with now. And the reason that it actually came about is because it was traditionally the biggest shopping day in the US. And interestingly, that's because it was the day after Thanksgiving. Now, Thanksgiving is a huge, obviously, celebration in the States. In a way, it's even more prevalent than perhaps Christmas. And interestingly, it's come from America. What I find really interesting is that when I was a teenager, I heard reference to Black Friday, and we talk about Black Friday, but in the UK, it was more the kind of one of the last Fridays before Christmas. And the reason that it was called Black Friday within the NHS actually is because it was a dark, difficult day because of the number of people that would be out kind of partying, drinking, Christmas parties. And it was coined Black Friday because of what they'd have to often deal with. Sorry, I'm just going to admit somebody, what they'd often have to deal with around that time. So the meaning of Black Friday and in the UK has definitely kind of shifted and changed as it's moved more towards the American, I suppose, that kind of the concept of the success that it has in America. And it's now hugely popular in the UK, okay, globally. So it's not just about necessarily kind of big American brands, but it is very much kind of a holiday promotion that whether you're B2B, B2C, whatever industry vertical you're in, there's definitely a way to actually get stuck in and get involved with, with Black Friday as a concept. So here's a quick question, and I'd love people to just pop it in the chat. what do you think, until recently, what was the busiest shopping day in the UK? Okay, so from retail and kind of purchase, what do you think the busiest shopping day in the UK was? Let's see what we've got. Lisa saying Boxing Day. Any advances on Boxing Day? Boxing Day. Any more for any more? Boxing Day. Christmas Eve. Yeah, from Sheena. So the truth is that the busiest shopping day was indeed Boxing Day. And that is obviously sales, that's sales driven, okay? Now, I would suggest that Christmas Eve and those last days before Christmas will also see peak, peak shopping trends, those kind of last minute, last minute shoppers, last minute buyers in the build up. But Boxing Day has historically and traditionally in the UK been that busiest kind of shopping day of the year. Now, what's really interesting is I always think back to not that long ago, a few years ago, I grew up in Wales and we went to Swansea on Boxing Day and loads of the shops were shut. Vast majority were closed, and stores, that to me was the beginning of a shift in kind of consumer spending because of the bank holiday and so on and so forth. There'd be a lot of retail shut on Boxing Day, and so sales would start to increase from more kind of 27th, 28th, and you had kind of January sales and so on. But we've now moved away from this massively, okay? And really, that spending period and the opportunity for businesses, especially in a B2C kind of sphere, definitely comes in the build up to Christmas, okay? And people are now spending huge amounts of money versus what they were spending before Christmas previously. This is a nice kind of visual representation of how November sales have overtaken December shopping sales. So that's the monthly growth rates for quantity bought in total retail sales. So if you look from 2012 right the way through to kind of 2017, you can see that November in blue and December in orange, just how that shift has kind of happened over the last few years. So if you look in 2012, it was almost twice as much in terms of the swing with, December sales versus, versus November. And it just started to grow exponentially year on year until 2017 was the first year that November actually overtook December. Now, what that means is that whether you're getting involved with kind of Black Friday, what your thoughts are surrounding a Christmas campaign, this is actually a really important set of statistics in terms of consumer behavior and customers or clients and what their purchase habits are throughout the winter period, okay? Put that into a little context for you as well. My birthday's the end of January. Now, when I was growing up, people wouldn't have much money at the end of January because they'd spent it all in January, okay? But what you need to think about is that now, as we go into December and January, large swathes of their spending will have been in November time, especially if you're B2C. So think about what opportunities and also what challenges that poses as to what people's financial mindset is post-Christmas. Before, they were willing to spend. They wanted to spend from kind of end of December, I would say, through to mid-January. But that mentality has now shifted because people are spending so much across Amazon deals, flash sales, Black Friday offers in November, which is that peak kind of purchase month. So it does change people's financial situation and how quickly perhaps they're starting to watch the purse strings rather than, actively spending kind of post-Christmas. And again, this is now specifically online, and we can see the power of online retail. So here we can see how they've, in that same period from, a bit earlier, from 2010 through to 2017, just how much that has increased exponentially. And I would suggest that kind of retail and e-commerce and that sort of going straight into the heart of Black Friday is what is going to be really kind of exaggerating that and giving that boost over that period of time. So what I want you to consider, you can just jot this down for yourself really, is, what is the peak buying period for your business between October and February, but how does that period compare to other months? So I really want us to think about seasonality. Okay, so think a little bit about that peak buying period between October and February. So is it early November? Is it end of November? Is it post Christmas? Is it over December? And think about how that compares to other months. Really start to engage with seasonality and within your industry, because it will change depending on who you're targeting, B2B, B2C, and so on. Because we want to communicate the right message to the right people at the right time. Yeah. Now that's a bit of a sort of a marketing anecdote. It's a little bit of a catchphrase, but I feel like in the build up to Christmas, it's more important than perhaps any other season or any time of year. Because I'm going to be talking in a little bit about marketing content, but obviously there is so much content to consume that we really want to think about when we're catching people with these campaigns. So when does our build up to Christmas start, for our brand? Does that start now? For example, if you're in, I don't know, retail and fast moving consumer goods, things are already hitting the shelves in supermarkets, but maybe it's too early for your B2B business to start communicating that Christmas message. You don't want to kind of put that all out there too early and burn out by the middle of November. Think about that lead time from the beginning of your message to the end, and when you can actually cut through the noise. That's a phrase I'm going to be using quite a lot as well today, is in terms of actually sort of cutting through the noise so that you don't just fall into that kind of Black Friday or Christmas message that can be really drowned from other industries and other areas. So we want to get the right message to the right people, and we want to do it at the right time. So let's talk a little bit about seasonal offers and what they say about your brand. And this is more with that kind of Black Friday in mind. And what I'd love you to do, I'm going to go through some of these, and I would love you to just pop in the chat just words that what this makes you think of, or how you would perceive a brand based on these kind of offers. Because the biggest challenge that I often face with clients or businesses when they talk about Black Friday is the first thing they say is, oh, we don't get involved in it. And you say, well, why don't you get involved in it? We don't want to devalue our brand, or we don't want to come across as cheap. We don't want to be bargain basement. Okay. And there's not always necessarily the case. And there's ways of kind of positioning your brand effectively, but still being able to offer added value. So feel free, pop it in the chat. What do we think of with buy one, get one free? Bog off, buy one, get one free. What does that tell us about a brand? If we see a buy one, get one free offer, how do we perceive that brand in terms of that added value? Do we see it as budget? Do we see it as premium? Do we see it as good value for money? What does that say to us as a consumer? Buy one, get one free. Feel free to just pop any thoughts in the chat. Yeah, so Joe's saying more budget. Yeah, so that kind of budget end of the scale. How do we respond to that as a consumer? If we see buy one, get one free, is that often a good selling hook, or anything that comes to mind when you think about a buy one, get one free offer for anybody else? Give it. Supermarkets, Lisa. Yeah, absolutely. Desperation, Nina. I love that. Desperate to say. Yeah. Do you know what? It's really interesting. Buy one, get one free is also something that you might go down if you've got surplus stock. So again, like with Lisa mentioned supermarkets, Nina mentioned desperation. Yeah. You need to think about who you're getting an offer in front of, and if buy one, get one free is the right concept. Sometimes if somebody is really looking to get that cut price deal, or you've got that fast moving product, absolutely buy one, get one free. But if you're dealing in something a bit more premium, perhaps that's not the route that you want to go down, because yeah, again, it feels excess, and it might feel a little bit desperate. On the flip side though, what do you think it says to you, or what are your thoughts as a consumer if somebody was to offer an additional product for free? Okay, now think about that slightly differently. So a complementary product. So rather than buy one, get one free, let's say you've bought, in this screenshot, let's say you've got the iPad, you've got the phone, you bundled up and you bought headphones, but then in addition to that, you get the matching watch and pen. Now, what might that say to us as a consumer in terms of, you don't have to put anything in the chat for that, you can do, but just have a little think about, in terms of that additional product, how that could position a brand slightly differently in terms of value versus the concept of giving a free product. And instantly you start to look a bit differently at whether or not that is actually going to devalue the brand or give somebody added value. Okay, so marketing and marketing comms should all be about giving added value. Now, if you can give something additional or complementary, what you're actually starting to do there is offer that customer, you know, some added value. So again, if you're a premium, you know, earring brand, you could be absolutely getting involved with Black Friday by offering an additional complementary necklace. You know, you don't even have to say it's free. It's additional, it's complimentary, it's gratis, it's our gift to you, you know, to reward you and to thank you. Think about those messages that might come around that, and how we go back to buy one get one free. I think of that window advert, you know, you buy one you get one free. That even sticks in our mind. And you know, you compare that to getting a complimentary or additional product for free, it instantly gives that little bit of added value. Something else that I want you to really think about is, and this is really important if you're doing money off offers, okay? So whether you're doing that on a single product or a service, you know, again, if you're B2B and you're service driven, do you run a campaign which is, you know, for the month of November only, we're going to offer 20% off our training course in XYZ for all new customers as our kind of Black Friday sort of offer. But it's a interesting balance as to whether you offer a percentage off or pounds off or financial money off. And it seems subtle, but you really want to consider that. And often it'll come down to what would sound the more effective in your marketing messaging. So brands, let's say it's a high value investment, you know, and it's something that costs, I don't know, it's something that costs, let's say £150, for example. Okay, 10% off £150 is 15 quid. Okay, so what you want to think about is that message. I've actually seen campaigns where it's gone very badly because they've put something like £15 off for the month, you know, versus saying 15% off for all. Well, actually it's not 15 quid, is it? It's 20, or you know, 10% would be 15 quid, but you know what I mean. But it's the difference in the weighting of that between whether you're offering people a percentage off versus the financial cash benefit. And you really want to think about how you're going to position that, because also that can also give a different look or feel in terms of premium versus budget. So do consider, especially if you're doing discounts, whether you're going to actually position that as a percentage or if you might position that as a financial saving. But something else that you want to really think about in the build up for all of this, for whether it's a Christmas campaign or a Black Friday offer or a deal, is trying to offer something more personalized to a small segment of your audience rather than a broad message. Now, that can be really, really good for B2B. It can also be really good if you want to position yourself as a little bit more premium, or if you don't, for example, work in retail or in products or product driven. So, for example, you know, consider rewarding a segment of the market. You don't even have to be looking at new customers and new clients. Think about people who are already emotionally bought into your brand, who are used to seeing Black Friday communications, you know, and they want to see value. They want to get value at that time. Consider targeting those people with either some email marketing or some communications where you're saying, hey, look, you know, Black Friday is just around the corner. We want to reward you by giving you 20% off your next purchase of XYZ, or come to this and, you know, we'll offer you an additional whatever that may be. But the point there is that you're very much in amongst the noise, you're in amongst the marketplace, and you're going to stand a better chance of retaining those customers rather than them getting lured away by other opportunities at Black Friday, because other brands and other businesses might be offering deals and offers to those who are buying in, if that makes sense. So, for example, let's think about subscription-based models. You know, at home I'm with Virgin. The biggest competitor there is Sky. Now, Virgin are going to be up against Sky, who are no doubt going to be doing massive Black Friday offers. They're going to be offering people additional channels or a free TV, or you know what I mean, all that kind of thing. That is, Black Friday becomes very competitive in those industries because you're trying to increase share of market. So other brands are trying to get a bigger cut of market share by slashing prices or adding offers, which are going to be hooking in and pulling in new customers. So that's something that you're going to really need to consider. So if you're that brand that said, oh, we don't get involved in that, well, are your competitors? Because if your competitors are, they're likely to be taking, sorry, I've just got somebody in the waiting room. I'm just going to admit. hi, Catherine. Fab. What I'm going to do, there will be a recording of this, so if anybody's missed the beginning, then that's absolutely fine. Fab. Catherine, don't hesitate to pop your details in the chat, and if you have any questions throughout, don't hesitate to kind of, you know, to pop those in as well. So yeah, so you know, great for B2B, segmenting and offering added value to your current customers so that you're not losing them, you're not losing that share of market to other brands, if you see what I mean. And that's really something that you're going to want to consider. In addition, then, in line with that slightly more focused approach, think about single product or service lines versus site-wide or store-wide. And again, this can be quite key in terms of the value of your brand. So what do I mean by that? Well, rather than doing a broader message of we're offering 20% with this, or we're doing that, really think about individual niche areas of your business that either you want to promote more, or you want to increase volumes of sign-ups or purchases, and double down on that area. Okay, and in doing so, you can maintain a level of exclusivity. So the difference there between going Black Friday, you know, for the next week, we're offering 20% off all our courses, you know, book now. How about, you know, exclusive offer, Black Friday only, for the next 7 days, this won't come around again. We're offering 20% off our course in people management. You know, this course is hugely popular and normally operates with a waiting list. For one time only, we're going to give you 20% off that. You're creating a desire. It's far more specific, okay? And you can create that desire and that urgency for that particular product or service area. And it's far more focused than that kind of broad brushstroke of just slashing prices or offering added value, which can start to feel quite budget basement and a little bit, you know, just a bit off the shelf. So how can we do that? Well, we can utilize keyword research to better understand what our customers are looking for, okay? And just to show you a little bit of that in practice, I just literally, I thought first industry, I was working on an industry yesterday on in alloy wheel refurbishment, actually. And so I had cars on the mind. So I thought, right, let's have a little look at cars and car search surrounding Black Friday. And this is really interesting. If you look at, this is from our tool KW Finder. I highly recommend you check it out. It's a paid for tool. I often refer to it, but you can get, I think, like 2 free searches a month. It's called a month, 2 free searches a day. So it's called KW Finder. You can pop a keyword in and it will give you a lot of related keywords. So it's just quite a useful tool. And even with 2 searches, you can get a little bit of insight. I actually think that for these 3 slides, I did 3 searches. So you know, the sort of insight I can get is great. So, you know, you pump in here, look, Black Friday car deals. What's really interesting, this chart on the right-hand side shows us the trend of search. So the average monthly search volume, which is just there towards the middle, is that 610. Okay, so for Black Friday car deals, the average monthly search volume is 610, but it's not really a fair representation because in January, February, March, nobody is searching for this stuff. But if you look how it peaks in November, so then in the month of November 2019, it really spiked with a search volume of 9.9 thousand. What's really interesting is how much it actually dropped in the November of 2020, but I would suggest that's heavily down to a reduction in car sales during the pandemic. Okay, so obviously there's loads of cars on forecourts, loads of secondhand cars, so that demand had dropped for a period then. But the point is there's that nearly 10,000 people in the UK on Black Friday are searching, or around Black Friday in the build-up probably, for the 2 weeks before, are searching for Black Friday car deals. But if we take that one step further, 590 people in that month are searching for Audi Black Friday, okay? So they're looking specifically at Audis. So I'd ignore that average search volume. Let's just look at the month of November there. So November 2020, we had a search volume of 590 for Audi Black Friday. But then if we look at Mercedes Black Friday, it's only got 390, okay? Now, if I'm a car dealership, or a second-hand car dealership, and I've got 10 Audis on my forecourt, and I've got 10 Mercedes on my forecourt, I'm going to want to run a Black Friday deal for Audi because the demand is there, the need is there. And then I'm going to run a campaign that is focused on Audi. So I might say, look, you know, with every Audi, we'll offer a free set of car mats worth 150 quid. And you'll get a free set of car mats with every Audi purchase. I believe every car purchase should get a free set of car mats, but the days of bartering for those are long gone. Trust me, I spend 20 minutes in there trying to get a free set of car mats and still don't come out successful. So, have a little think though about how you might want to segment that down. And again, we don't even have to do that based on gut. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be very close to your businesses and in terms of kind of what customers want and what they need. So no doubt you'll also have a strong awareness of what their needs might be during that time. So really consider that, because from a business perspective, how can we offer the customer what they want and give them that added value during that period. Now, something else to consider, of course, is Cyber Monday. Those of you who sort of aren't perhaps familiar with Cyber Monday, that is the Monday that follows Black Friday. Now, what's really interesting is that it is purely online, and it was only actually, it's only been a thing since the mid-noughties, okay? So Cyber Monday came in more in kind of 2005. The angle was to promote online shopping before online shopping actually became primary source of purchase, okay? So it was to kind of really give that e-commerce and that online hook to consumers. But what's even more interesting is that it also started as a way of giving smaller businesses the opportunity to weigh in the marketplace. So Black Friday had become predominantly larger brands, and it was an opportunity for smaller businesses to again cut through that noise a little bit on another day, but around that peak that peak kind of selling time. However, Cyber Monday is now just as prevalent for bigger brands as much as it is for smaller businesses. And that's why you need to consider that Black Friday and the Black Friday spending mentality is less and less about the single day. It's about the period. It's the period. It's a week. It's 2 weeks. The number of times now I will see a campaign which is kind of, Black Friday week. Our Black Friday week begins, our Black Friday sales for the month of November, okay? And this is coming back to that chart I was showing you at the start, which is that it's not just on that day, but the month of November is now overtaking these other months, okay, in terms of sales. So do consider what activity you're going to be doing surrounding that time. If there's anything that you do online, then it's ideal. But if not, think about how that Cyber Monday needs to link up with your Black Friday. So either that campaign is extended, it might extend into the next week, or think about if you're offering something different. Yeah. So for Cyber Monday, we're offering this. For example, let's say you sell product or a service either in person or online. Maybe on the Monday, the whole focus there is it's 10% off if you engage with XYZ or purchase online, and maybe that's your angle. But we need to consider this as this continuous kind of extension really of that Friday, and not just the not just the Friday in isolation. If anybody has any questions so far, don't hesitate to just pop them in the chat or to message me personally, and I can kind of engage with them then in the room. You can just message me personally if you want to stay anonymous, and then I'll answer the question more broadly in the room. That's absolutely fine as well. So don't hesitate to pop any questions in as we go, but I will open up for Q&As for the last half hour too. So corporate social responsibility. So I just want to touch upon this. And again, Nina, this is definitely something that obviously is going to slot in with kind of Homestart, but even on a commercial level and a private business level, I really want us to think about how we can be a little bit different around the Black Friday period and almost offer a solid alternative and come away from kind of profiteering and money making and profit as a result of Black Friday, and start to thinking about how we can link up our corporate social responsibility efforts, and how we can link that up with Black Friday and the build up to Christmas. So whilst businesses are talking heavily about slashing prices and cutting costs and that revenue focus, how can CSR really kind of cut through the noise? Well, we can do something as simple as invest or plant a tree for sales. Okay, So maybe, especially if we're B2B and we're working with businesses and perhaps our clients aren't too concerned about if they can get something for 20%, 30% or 40% less, but we want to try and weigh in on that big spending month, we can start to offer added value in a different way. So if you purchase this from us in the month of November, we will plant a tree in England's forest, or, you know, we will give money to a charity of your choice, or we will invest in XYZ. Think about how you can utilize that as an opportunity to either cross-sell to current customers or upsell to new customers, but by offering added value in a slightly different way. So of course you could plant a tree, or you could just actively donate to charity. Okay, if you're working with a charity partner, I mean, Homestart, who are in the room, they actually used previously, we have a different charity partner every year. I think last year were kind of our charity partners. So it's a great way to link it up with that effort, so that if you have a charity partner, you know, donate, increase your donations, so that during that period you are yeah, as I say, you're actually upping what's going to that charity as well. So purchase from us and we will donate an additional 5%, you know, or all our profits from the sales of XYZ will go towards our charity partner in November as part of our Black Friday. The good thing about that is it will also offer a really solid alternative to the more commercial sort of message, and that will enable you to cut through the noise, so that it's not all about slash pricing and more about your affinity to other brands. Nina's highlighted here that she was thinking about sharing offers during the Black Friday period from their partners, such as John Lewis, Waitrose and BT Comms, to show our gratitude. I think that's an excellent idea. You know, if you're working with clients or working with other brands, or you have a strong brand partnership and other businesses are getting involved in Black Friday, think about how you can utilize your business as a platform to better communicate the message about what those organizations are actually doing. Okay, so how those other companies are, you know, what offers are they doing? Can you write blog content about it? Can you share it across your social media? Can you even have like a landing page on your website, which is more in line with sort of, you know, this is what we are, this is what our partners are offering. Look at these exciting deals, you know, consider this as your go-to resource on Black Friday. I mean, that'd be great. I mean, you know, if you've got multiple brands, have a landing page or something, or a blog on the website, which is dedicated to them all in one place. And then, you know, you might even rank for that, but you could be pushing it out on social media as like your go-to platform for all the best offers on Black Friday from our partners, you know. So then it's just showing that engagement. It's a good conversation piece, and you can be getting your, you know, representatives from those businesses on the phone to say, we've just featured you in our article for XYZ. A nice little example of this in practice actually is Patagonia. Now, Patagonia, I'm just going to refer to my notes as well, because I've got some numbers which are really interesting and I will not remember off the top of my head. But Patagonia are sort of quite a major kind of outdoor brand. So they do, you know, clothing and equipment and so on. But they teamed up with Love Our Planet and generated $10 million worth of business in a single day. Now, what Patagonia did was on Black Friday, as a kind of a CSR push, a corporate social responsibility push, they put their profits towards Love Our Planet. So the message was very much about how, you know, not that the customers are necessarily saving money, but that for all these purchases they're going to invest. Now, they'd also identified, Patagonia, that their customers are outdoors focused, so care about the environment. So it was a really good way to drive up sales heavily as well. So Patagonia will have no doubt driven up their sales massively during that point. And Love Our Planet won because they were the ones that got the added value. Now, in terms of financial side of things, now Patagonia's customers wouldn't have saved any money, okay? But the added value that they got was that they could go home feeling good because they knew that they'd purchased and that it had gone to a charitable arm, you know, that they'd be really pleased about. Now, it far surpassed, there's a number here about the percentage, but the percentage increase in sales was huge for Patagonia, and it surpassed their expectations in terms of what they were even expecting to sell kind of on that day. And that kind of links up with something that I've mentioned earlier, is about doing effective campaigns and promotions without devaluing your brand. Okay, now this stands for the kind of the Black Friday arm of things, and that sort of build up to that sale period and purchase period, but also any Christmas campaigns that you're doing, because we don't want to just fall in the trap of sort of with our Christmas marketing or marketing messaging as well of kind of devaluing our brand. Now, a brand that do a very good job of this sort of thing are kind of John Lewis, who obviously have sort of driven the whole concept of that really emotive emotive advertising, really, in the build up to Christmas. We were sort of very used to seeing that kind of Coca-Cola message and the Santa Claus, and that, you know, that's nothing new. Christmas marketing and Christmas campaigns in general, there's nothing new there, really. But in terms of just how heavily some of these brands play on the emotion and the emotive side of things is really starting to grow. This particular advert was very, very clever. It's actually, when I was looking at this, I can't believe it was 2015. It was actually like 6 years ago, but it feels like yesterday. It's this Man on the Moon advert, and it was about raising awareness for kind of loneliness as well, and the elderly, and kind of loneliness through age at kind of Christmas time. And it increased sales by nearly 16%. Now, it tapped massively into kind of the zeitgeist, the sort of the spirit of the age, what people are talking about in terms of, you know, increase in needs for elderly care and you know, life expectancy and loneliness amongst the elderly and dementia, increase in dementia, all that stuff. And it really tapped into that with its message. So it became less about the religious kind of side of Christmas, but more about that human and caring side, and even less about kind of commercial. And it was about giving a gift, yes, to somebody, but making them feel loved, making them be, you know, being not combating loneliness at kind of Christmas time. So as I say, it increased sales by almost 16%. So have a real think about how in the build up to Christmas you can start to work that emotive angle with your customers. Amazon did a brilliant one last Christmas. I don't know if anybody saw it, but it really tapped into kind of where we're at with kind of lockdown, and it was about, you know, giving the gift and how people could do these activities at home, and they ended it with a ballet dancer on the street in the snow with her new kind of ballet equipment that had been bought for her through Amazon and everything. But it was massively emotive, and that's the angle that you need to start thinking about to go, how can I really strike a nerve with customers? And also utilize Christmas as an opportunity to open up our message perhaps to sort of new audiences that we haven't spoken to before. So LinkedIn did a really interesting campaign where they managed to open up their marketplace to customers that were not the typical LinkedIn customer. So it wasn't the classic corporate, you know, white shirt and tie, blue suit and brown shoes kind of market. They focused on creatives and innovators and early adopters and different industries, and it was hugely successful. And they did it through visuals and messaging. They created quite a simple but emotive black and white sort of online ad, but the whole angle there was that it spoke to a different segment of the marketplace. Think about how we can utilize the emotive elements of Christmas and Christmas marketing to do that very thing. Now, people's situation changes dramatically at Christmas. And again, something that's quite interesting there about that John Lewis example is that they really targeted a segment of the market, okay? And they targeted those that perhaps have parents of that age, or they targeted the younger generation who have grandparents of that age, okay? And they looked at how they can get a message to really cut to the sort of pull on the heartstrings of those people, but from a retail perspective, to say, and don't forget, you know, you really need to care about this person, you need to be there for that person, and while you're doing it, John Lewis has got you covered. You know, come to us and we'll see you right. And it works, you know. So you do want to think about how you can really sort of consider that emotive marketing, so that your brand is front of center, whether you're B2B or B2C, within a certain segment of the marketplace. So what I'd like you to do is a bit of an activity, and it's just going to take you a few minutes, but I want you to, because it's to really get us thinking, have a go at jotting down, just in note form or in a mind map or in whatever way you feel comfortable, start to jot down those kind of triggers, those key trigger points in terms of nostalgia and emotive marketing, for what added value you can bring to your customers to hit that nostalgic button. So you might jot down sort of buzzwords and thoughts, what are the pain points of your customers, but also on a more nostalgic or emotive level. Think back, not just to your customers now, but the problems that they might have faced for the last 20 or 30 years. Just have a little think. Childhood, we've got customer profiling, but what did your customer's childhood look like, especially if you're B2C? Or what do they think about outside of work if you're B2B? What's the pain points outside of the 9 to 5, which are a bit more personal and emotive driven? I'm going to do the same for myself. So just take a couple of minutes, jot those down. And then if anybody feels comfortable to share them, that'd be amazing. But if not, I understand it's very different in an online context. So let's just take a few minutes and start to have a little think and jot down some of those ideas from an emotive marketing perspective. I'll just give you a few minutes. And you can grab a cup of coffee at the same time, but yeah, do feel free to go ahead and start jotting some of those ideas down. Hey folks. Fab. Yeah, no problem. I've got a message from Lisa. Client issue, but that's absolutely fine. So how do we get on? Feel free to unmute or pop open your video if you wanted to share anything in terms of you know, our notes on nostalgia and emotive marketing. Where did we get to with this? Did anybody like to kick us off? Actually, could you just let me know that you're back? Because some people might have gone to make a cup of coffee. So if you're back, could you just drop a message in the chat or pop your video on just so that I know that we're all back? I think we might be away from desks. Sheena's back. Hi, Sheena. Sheena, sorry, Catherine's back. Hi, Sheena. Sorry, I missed you at the very start, I think. Apologies. What business are you from, Sheena? Feel free to either unmute or pop it in here. Ah, from ADS. Fantastic. Yeah. Sheena, feel free to pop any details in the chat if you wanted to, you know, I always say to people as well from a networking perspective, don't hesitate to pop that in. Hi, Catherine. So we got Catherine and Sheena. Feel free to message me. Nina's back. Hi, Nina. Joe's back. Did anybody want to share any thoughts? It's absolutely fine if not. I just always open it up because I wanted you to get as much out of this as possible. So if anybody had any questions at this point or wanted to offer anything that they'd thought about in that few minutes, then the floor is yours. But I totally understand if not. So, but please be comfortable to chip in.
Hi, Dan.
Hello.
I was thinking because you were kind of on the you were mentioning John Lewis, and we're in partnership with John Lewis at the moment, and
yeah,
remember the big kind of Christmas campaign that they done last year, and their advert was so touching, and so many people could kind of relate to the advert. And I was just thinking that maybe kind of us as Homestart Hertfordshire could maybe create something quite similar to that as well, and just to kind of last year with our Christmas events, obviously there was so much we couldn't do, and obviously this year we're really aiming to make sure that we can do it. So it's kind of like just a reminder, you know, hey, you know, we are here, and kind of our kind of key points is obviously kind of parenting, the effects of the pandemic, and mental health. They're probably kind of like our key areas at the moment. Because obviously, as you can imagine, we have so many more referrals now, because of the aftermath of kind of lockdown. So so I kind of had it in mind, you know, it might be worth us looking into kind of putting some kind of show reel together kind of over the Christmas period, you know, and it could be something like, we've always said, like, you know, love your Homestar, or, you know, love your HSH, you know, along that kind of strap line to kind of draw people in.
I think that would be a really, really good angle. And I think that because with all of this as well, you want to be, you know, whether we're doing any of these sort of campaign concepts or Black Friday or offers, we do want to consider, you know, do we create our own hashtag? Do we have our own campaign hashtag, which kind of underpins what we're doing? Is that something that we just do this year, or is it actually something that we do, you know, every year, whereby we have our Christmas campaign hashtag, for example? But when you think about it, it is that period where, from a charity perspective, I think people's minds, they are more, yes, there's a lot of noise out there and a lot of marketing noise, but they are tuned into this stuff a little bit more. And I think there are those days where people are sat at home with like a massive belly, and because, you know, they've eaten to excess and they've drunk and they've had parties. And I think that they're very aware that not everybody's that, you know, in that situation. And I think that things like mental health, for example, yes, are very much current, very much now. And it's, you know, I'm sure there are a number of statistics actually surrounding mental health, and even things like suicide rates over kind of the Christmas period and the New Year and those kind of middle of winter periods of time. And maybe those are some of the areas where, again, it's about that right message at the right time and focusing in on some of those areas over the Christmas period, because people might be a bit more tuned in to that stuff, you know. And I can think of a Christmas campaign where for yourselves in particular, it could be quite stats driven in terms of like, did you know that X% of people are actually in this situation over Christmas, or that situation, or last year we saw a rise in X in domestic cases because of the pandemic and XYZ, and you know, and actually really, you know, those kind of stats don't lie, and you could definitely think about something surrounding that, you know, and also finding out how you can get more of an affinity perhaps with your partners in terms of what they're doing over Christmas, you know, so what message are they putting out there, and how can we not piggyback on it but underpin that, you know, if what's because John Lewis, I don't know what their focus is for the 2021 you know, from a Christmas campaign perspective, but how there are elements, shared elements, if you see what I mean, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, visual and video, if there's anything like that, I'd say now, you know, Christmas absolutely is a really good time to get that out there. Yeah. Fab. Any other thoughts or questions from anybody before we carry on? No. As I say, one's come through just to me, and I'll catch up afterwards with regards to that, because I can answer you more specifically on that. That's just with regards to brands, so that's absolutely fine. Good. Fab. Okay, marvelous. So let's have a little look now then at the importance of synergy, and kind of synergy in you know, in marketing messaging, because it's actually really important with all of this that we don't think of any of these things in isolation. So it's very easy to just think single, you know, one track mind on our Christmas campaign or one track mind on our Black Friday campaign, and lose sight of the overarching you know, business, the overarching message of brand message of who we are and what we are as a brand. And we want to make sure that all of these campaigns really heavily you know, as I say, actually link up with what it is that we are, what it is that we're doing. So first and foremost, consistency is key. Okay, that's the most important thing in all of this. We'd always say that in marketing communications, you want to make sure that you're consistent across as many channels as you possibly can. But more than ever, we want exactly the same from you know, from our marketing messaging here. So an example of where this is done you know, very nicely is Marks and Spencer's. They do a great job of consistent marketing message. Look at this Christmas campaign here. You know, this is not just food, this is M&S Christmas food. That phrase of this is not just food sits through everything that they do. And you know, they refine it, they adapt it, they develop it so that the brand message is first and foremost, but it meets the timing and the period of that campaign, and it really doubles down on that. Nina just referenced with Home Start the kind of the love your home start. You know, you could develop slogans surrounding, you know, love your home start now and at Christmas, you know, that kind of message. There was the, you know, you have dog campaigns of a dog is for life, not just for Christmas, because of those. That's a really iconic one because of obviously those dog sales that happen over Christmas and the novelty wears off and they're not as well looked after in the new year, which again is, I think, is probably something else that we'll learn is going to be quite a negative outcome of the pandemic with dog theft and dog purchase, but that's a whole other thing. But you know, think about that through line of message and how that can really kind of link up so that you know, you're just ensuring that there is a synergy. Because I'm going to say it again, you need to cut through the noise. Now, this is such a noisy marketing period. Okay, from now up until the new year, middle of January, I would suggest is one of the noisiest periods of time in the marketing landscape. And you want to be just that little bit different. You want to kind of break the mold. You know, you don't just want to be like any other brand. Now, you might have heard there's a card game, Cards Against Humanity. It's quite an un-PC and not very politically correct kind of card game. Target market, young adults and perhaps couples, those for kind of, it's like dinner parties or student parties or games or that kind of thing. So their customer profiling, they probably have a primary audience age between 16 to 18 and kind of 20, 25. Maybe there's a 25 to kind of 35, not yet had children. That's probably in terms of those that are purchasing what their kind of primary target markets would be. And they've run two very interesting campaigns in the build up to Christmas and for Black Friday. One is that they increased their costs on Black Friday. Okay, so Cards Against Humanity in the US increased the cost of the product by $5 and sales surged. Okay, because they just cut through the noise. They said, we're going to up our costs on Black Friday, and people bought it. They bought into it. They got PR as a result of it, and sales surged. And they added money to it. They didn't even take it off. Another thing that they did, which is perhaps even more sort of surreal, is that they promised to dig a hole. And they promised to dig a hole in a location that wasn't even, it was completely pointless hole, and on a piece of land that wasn't even announced. They didn't even say where this was, or where this hole was going to be. But basically, for all their sales, they requested that customers donate towards the cost of digging this hole. Okay, and it raised over $100,000 in donations. And when asked about the hole, they just said, well, you might not get it for a while. Sometime next year, you'll chuckle quietly to yourself, remember all that business about the hole, because there was no purpose to the active action of what they were doing. But the point is it was different. Okay, and it just completely cut through the noise. So what I want you to do, and you don't have to do this right now, this is more for when you get the deck, because this would be a sort of an offshoot of everything that we've talked about here, and it would really kind of come last. But have a little think about building that Black Friday or Christmas slogan. Like, what is that strap line? What is that message? And how can we cut through the noise? You know, think about what problem we're solving, but also how with this message are we creating a desire? And also, you know, is there an emotive element to what we're doing? You know, is there an emotive arm to this? How can we really pull on the heartstrings, or you know, touch a nerve almost during this time when people are so spend heavy and very consumer centric and consumer focused? So what we're going to do now is talk a little bit about tactics, talk a little bit about sort of project management, and then there's plenty of time at the end. So if anybody did want Q&As, then fantastic. Otherwise, obviously, I can catch up and answer any questions sort of separately as well. So what are the best marketing tactics to target customers with, you know, with seasonal campaigns? Well, again, it's a bit of an old marketing adage of, well, it depends. That's what we say in marketing. We say, well, it depends. So somebody say, how can I bring this to market? Well, it depends. Or what's the best channel for this? Well, it depends. And it does. It depends on so many different things, you know, who's your, you know, what your price point is, who you're looking to target, you know. But realistically, if we're looking at online, we want to get on our website, and it's always amazing how many brands don't have a dedicated landing page or a dedicated banner or message on their website, which is in line with what they're doing for Black Friday. Now, you might have a site-wide banner if your website's kind of built in WordPress, or you know, you have the opportunity to put just a message across the entire site. You could really double down on doing that, not just on the days, but in the build up as well. So like, you know, in the build up to Black Friday, you know, get ready, the countdown has begun, join us on Friday, the date off the top of my head of November, and you know, we'll be offering 10% off all blah blah blah. And then on the day, maybe you update that banner so that you've got, you know, your core messages. A really nice idea, if you have the functionality or a website that can do it, is to do this kind of countdown thing. There's an example here from Bull Run, but you know, it would have started with 27 days, 3 hours, 12 minutes and 4 seconds until our Black Friday sale. The biggest thing of all of this, as I kind of mentioned, is about build up. So with any kind of good seasonal promotion or a Christmas campaign with a Christmas message, you don't launch it at the time of the thing. You launch it a significantly large proportion of time before, and then you build to it. So the same with your Black Friday promotions. You know, you could be starting that message now with in the build up to the end of November, or maybe you start it in a month so that you don't, again, as I say, you don't burn out too soon. So do really consider where that sits. But you want to have a dedicated landing page. At the very least, you want to build a blog article or a strong piece of content, or what we might call pillar content, so that you have that static page that's focused on Black Friday or your Christmas campaign. It's a good way to then have a place to drive traffic through with the right message. So if you're putting things out on social media or through email marketing, you might not want to drive through to a service page. You might want to land on a kind of more of a campaign page. Something that often gets forgotten about, especially with promotions, is actually adding to Google ad copy. So if you're running Google ads or PPC campaigns, don't forget to add these things to the ad copy or to like the ad headlines, even just for a day or 2 or 3 days. You know, click-through rates have been seen to surge when people put things there. So if you've got a standard ad like, I don't know, let's say you're a business coach, and you know you've got a Google ad that says business coach, expert advice, contact us. You know, you might update that with business coach, Black Friday offer, free session, you know, and get that in your Google ad. And maybe of the 50 people that saw your ad yesterday and 3 click through, maybe of the 50 people that see it today, 10 will click through, you know. So do think about making sure that we're putting this message out there in all these different touch points, so that again we're just cutting through the noise, getting more of that share of, you know, online market share, and in terms of click-through and engagement as well. So do have a little think about that. Now, obviously, paid social media is going to be a really strong way to reach your customers more kind of visually. So if you have even a small budget, you could run a lovely campaign. Even if you're a local or a regional brand, you could run quite a small scale Christmas or Black Friday campaign, just to really cut through the noise on those social media channels. In the build up to Christmas as well, and in this period, people are really heavily engaging with social media. They're communicating with family, they're communicating with friends. There is that opportunity to just be seen more, and what you won't get in some of the other tactics like Google ads is more of that visual and emotive angle. So again, if you're running a visual campaign, or you have a video or a 1-minute sort of snippet, you know, Facebook ads could be a really effective way to do that over Christmas. Also, you know, if you're anticipating some more sales, you could get a slightly higher return on investment. So if you're normally not investing in things like Facebook ads, but you go, well, do you know what, in Black Friday our sales surge by 30%, maybe it's a good opportunity to increase the spend slightly and consider social media ads, so that you're now doing those direct marketing tactics that are going to generate you that ROI. Organic social media, you know, it goes without saying, really, you know, social media should be at almost kind of, it sits into so many marketing touch points for so many brands. The biggest thing to remember, though, is the suspense element, and that actually organic social media can be massively effective from a suspense perspective. Think about how you can start to drip feed and trickle through content. Your message might get lost if you just do 1 or 2 posts surrounding any of these things that we're talking about with Black Friday or Christmas messaging. So have a little think about how you can utilize organic social media channels to build that suspense. So X number of days to go, or for the month of November, we're going to offer you something different every day. And, or, you know, can you create that suspense and then increase your follower count? So for example, could you be posting on Facebook saying, in the build up to Black Friday, we're actually going to run a competition over on our Instagram feed. Check us out over at here, you know, and get people then following you on Instagram. If you've got loads of followers on Facebook and you want to get more followers on Instagram, think about how you can utilize multiple channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, for example, as to how in the build up you could be starting to build that suspense towards Black Friday. And then maybe you increase your things like your email marketing output, so that then on the days of the offer or the campaign, you're emailing people, but maybe your brand is already kind of front of mind from more of the build up activity that you've been doing on social media. But you know, it's not just online, and you know, have a little think as well. I mean, this one goes without saying, obviously, if you have a brick and mortar, you know, get that front and center in terms of anything that you're doing. So we have Christmas display shop windows for a reason, you know, and they often start them very early. But you do want to maximize that visibility. Have a little think as well about what you want to do in and around your workplace. If, for example, you're B2B or you have people visiting, you know, really think about how you're going to get that through line from your online messaging surrounding Christmas to, you know, your location. If you create a Christmas hashtag for your brand online and you have people visiting you at your location, get that hashtag on a nice simple A3 poster by the door. You know, join in with our Christmas celebrations, use the hashtag blah 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 for a share on social media, you know, and start to think about how other businesses or individuals that are visiting you can get involved. Again, you know, if you've got a location, you can have a lovely in my last company a few years ago, we had a one of these selfie boards made, and they're, you know, they're really not very expensive, and it's these artificial selfie boards that look like an Instagram post. So it says Instagram at the top, and it's got the number of followers, and it's got hashtags at the bottom, and the whole point is that you hold it up and you do one of this and somebody takes a photograph. You know, have one of those that you could even have and use at Christmas, so that you get people using that who come to visit you, and get them sharing it on social, and just generate this buzz, because all these things are going to help you just kind of cut through the noise in this really busy marketing period. It is a very busy period for marketers. And in line with that, think about running seasonal events. So, you know, drinks receptions, things like this are key. Now, you know, the Christmas party is very much a thing. You know, we know that. But think about how, as a brand, you can kind of weigh in on this a little bit more and run, you know, certain events. Now, this is in the offline section here. Obviously, there's so much stuff at the moment that's kind of COVID dependent, and we don't know what government guidelines are going to be in a few weeks' time, even from a business perspective. But you know, do think about running a networking lunch. We did a great thing at WAGADA as part of a Christmas build-up, and I think we actually raised money for Homestart. We did a like a lunch for the people in our office, and we said, you know, come up for a networking lunch. Everybody from the team made a dish. Probably cost everybody £1 to actually put together a nice big pasta dish, or you know what I mean, to make something homemade. And then businesses were putting £5, £10, £15 in the jar, and it was fantastic, because it was great for businesses, but it was in the build up to Christmas. It was philanthropic, and it enabled us to run something with our kind of charity you know, charity partner in mind as well. So do think about how, you know, this side of things and the build up to Christmas can sort of link up with your efforts and what it is that you're looking to do from a marketing perspective. Again, unlike the earlier activity, which was more for kind of an on-the-spot thing to keep us thinking, have a little think about this afterwards. You know, what marketing tactics are you currently adopting? Jot them down. Are you doing email marketing? You know, how can you communicate your seasonal campaign through these? But also, what tactics might you need to introduce that you're not doing already? Okay, so if you're not doing paid social media, have a little think. Actually, would the month of November and December be a really good time for us to utilize a small proportion of our marketing spend purely on our social media advertising for our, you know, Christmas campaign? Just have a little think about that afterwards, and you know, and sort of you can kick on from there. So just kind of finally, before I offer if anybody had any kind of questions, I want to talk a little bit about the project management side of things. Now, or as I like to call it, there just aren't enough hours in the day, because we always feel like that, right? And it always feels like that thing we have to do rather than the thing we sometimes want to do, and dates sort of come around before we even know it, and we can't believe where we're at now. I mean, the irony is that, you know, we're doing this, I'm doing this session with you now in September, and some people may have already started to think about their Christmas campaigns or Black Friday. Others might not yet. Trust me, there are businesses that by this point know what they're doing for Black Friday a year this November coming, you know. So I love this little adage that somebody in a past life told me, and I sort of carried it around with me everywhere I go, really. But they used to say that early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable. And I love that. It's just a thing, you know, and you carry that with you because it just gets you in that mindset of being ready to go ahead of the start time. And the truth is that with some of this stuff, we do have to start thinking early, because otherwise what happens is it becomes a chore, because we have all these great ideas and then we end up rushing them, and then in rushing them we get stressed out. You know, we can't believe that Christmas is upon us. So we do need to start accelerating our thinking in these areas. We need to plan early, like a year early. And I know that sounds so ideal, because these are always the things that end up going to the back burner in lieu of kind of some urgent stuff. But trust me, this stuff very quickly becomes urgent when somebody turns around and goes, you know how bad it is when somebody goes, oh, it's November and we haven't actually booked the Christmas party, let alone it's November and we haven't even thought about what we're going to do for marketing at Christmas, and all of a sudden it's all hands on deck. So you might even come away from this and start to have some bigger ideas that, you know, you may not even implement this year, but why not, you know, get the next couple of months out of the way and then go into 2021 starting to think, 2021, go into 2022 starting to think about what's my focus going to be at the end of this year for you know, 2022 and Christmas 2022 and into the new year of 2023. My cousin used to work for, well, he's worked in multiple quite sort of in broader kind of marketing teams, but he's now at River Island, but he was at, oh gosh, at one point he was at John Lewis, and then he went to sort of Selfridges. And, you know, in terms of those brands where the sort of the Christmas campaign, that is their massive selling time of the year, and they know by now, they've already confirmed and signed off all the design work for their window displays for a year this Christmas, you know, and they know what that theme is going to be, and they're having those meetings. So I know that's a massive scale, and it's so easy to kind of use that as an example, but it is just to say, look, on a microcosm, if there's a mindset, we can start to think that much ahead, then all the better. And then we can start to get organized. And then when it comes to our content creation and building all of that up, you know, we don't feel like such a last minute sort of rush. What I've sort of linked through to here as well, because I think that it can be really useful. HubSpot has a marketing it's an article. You'll have the link at the bottom. There's a few links in this deck, so when you get them, you can have the links through to all the various things. It's got a list, literally like a list of Excel templates, but do have a look and kind of Google online, because there are going to be a number of things that can help with your project management. And there are a lot of things that I've run through today in terms of slogan development and branding and phraseology and brand terminology, and a number of areas there whereby you can just sort of streamline that process a little bit more. Think about social media content calendars. So we talk a lot about, you know, scheduling your social media just kind of in general, but more and more for Black Friday or Christmas, have a little think about how you can schedule that stuff, because you can be scheduling that in the summer, even if you're not as early as what I've been talking about. You know, if you can start to think about those messages, you could be doing all of that in the quiet period. For a lot of businesses, July is quite a quiet period, you know, especially in B2B. People are away. Even from a you know, a commerce perspective, people are holidaying or they're with their children. You know, it's the rise of hospitality. So, excuse me, think about how in the summer months you can start scheduling ahead of time, and even getting all that put into Hootsuite so that you don't even have to think about it before when November actually comes around. So do have a little look through. What I'm also going to give you here, which you'll be able to get access to from the deck, are these blog resources. So these are just from our own website, but do take a look. We've got two articles which are super useful. One is kind of Black Friday marketing ideas, and that's about, you know, just broader kind of marketing concepts, a couple of the things that I've touched upon today, but a number of other avenues as well that you might want to explore. And then just finally another one which is specifically about maximizing online exposure for Black Friday. So that goes into a little bit more detail from kind of an SEO perspective and sort of how to be as visible as possible. Yeah, as I say, kind of on Black Friday as well. Fab. So I've come in about 5 minutes earlier than I was aiming to, but that's okay. So for those who kind of missed the start, I'm speaking to you from Cheltenham, from our Cheltenham office. We're now based in St Albans and Cheltenham. You'll have my email address, and my colleague Rebecca will be the person that sends over the deck and everything. But if you have any questions, well, no, I'll come on to that in a moment, but in general, reach out and link with me on LinkedIn. If I'm not already connected with you, I'd love to connect on LinkedIn. Don't hesitate to follow up with me afterwards if there's anything that you want to speak about. But for now, I just wanted to open it up so that if anybody had any questions at this point, or they want to chat informally, I'm here and a resource. So feel free to either unmute or pop anything in the chat if it's prompted any thoughts or any questions that you might have. No problem. Well, as I say, two have come through personally, but that's absolutely fine, because I will speak by either email or we can have a follow-up call. And yeah, if anybody does have any further questions, then you know where to find me. But otherwise, best of luck with your marketing campaigns, and I hope it goes well. And yeah, and in the build up to Black Friday, and also in the build up to Christmas too. So thank you very much and have a great day.